So, back to Raw. The one match they had was the tag team thing. We'll talk about that later. But otherwise, it was just talking and talking and talking and dramaticness of every kind. And finally, the one thing that pretty much you could universally say, whether you like Punk or not, everybody was waiting to hear from him. And we waited 2 hours and 52 fucking minutes before we heard like Mussolini in Tennessee. They not only had the interview of the year and dropped the ball on it, they couldn't manage their time. We're going to talk a lot about time management on wrestling television in this episode of the podcast too. And we've been blistering the other guys for not being able to manage their time. And now I get the story, they ran long. And they gave 8 minutes till the top of the hour. His music plays. And he comes out and gets the fucking big ovation and the signs. And he sees there's people on both sides of the arena. And it was 6 minutes till the top of the hour and the end of the program before he could speak. How do they manage to do that? I don't even know if that's a rhetorical question.
Yeah, I mean, look,
answer it anyway.
I mean, the other problem is they made everyone wait. They made everyone wait. And I think a lot of people gave up on waiting and said, I'll see what they put on YouTube tomorrow. To the very end, whether he got capped with the time or not, I think for a lot of people, it was a deflating promo. There was nothing. Not that he had to say anything about AEW or anyone there. He didn't have to say anything about that. But he had to say something. And I feel like something was missing.
There was no pith to the pithiness of the promo. It didn't have pithiness, but that's on a variety of levels. Part of the comeback promo, the reason why that we remembered it and loved it in AEW is because it was the first 25 minutes of the fucking program by the time that everything was all said and done, right? And as I recall, the pipe bomb back in whatever year in the WWF, or it was still E by then, that took a little while. But here, boom, he's out, and he either had the choice of starting and telling a story and needing more time to get to the bottom of it, but he needed to. They neither gave him the time to tell a longer story to draw people into something, or they gave him nothing to exclaim at the end besides, I'm back. I thought he needed to declare a purpose. We needed to have something from him about what the fuck was going to happen to possibly somebody. I don't know. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree with you.
It needed more time, and it needed a more, besides
purpose.
I'm back, a purpose. I mean, everything he said was great. We need more of it. And with a better capper at the end. I mean, I loved I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money.
But that was the very, very end.
Yes. And, but otherwise I needed to hear, I'm going to goddamn be the main event at WrestleMania if I have to cripple every motherfucker here or something. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a few things here. When he debuted in AEW on Rampage, he started the show. They began the show with the music, and he was out there. You said 25 minutes. I think it was more like 45 minutes.
I'm wrong. It was a while, but it flew by.
Yeah, it was great. I'm not saying it took too long or anything, but I think it ate up a large part of that first hour, and it was tremendous. He started that show. He ended this show.
A long show.
That show, it was still technically a rumor that Punk would be there. This show, you knew he was going to be there.
Yeah.
And you knew he was there. And you kept waiting for him. And I think they mishandled that. And I think he had to say something. He has that rare ability that like a Jake Roberts had, where whether he's a babyface or a heel, you don't know what you can trust. that he says. Not that he's a liar, but I mean, if he came out there and said, and I'm telling you, I'm here to not cause any problems. I want to get along. Just tease something. There was no tease of anything. There was no tease of anything with Rollins. There was no tease of anything with Roman. He mentioned the wise man, so there's that little bit of a tease. He didn't say anything wrong, but he also just didn't say anything. It was kind of just,
well, it was
I'm happy
like,
to be here. I love everyone. Well, let me ask you this, since we're talking about the promo. What did you think of him saying it's good to be home? We just talked about that concept.
Well, here's the thing. The promo that he did was fine if there had then been more promo. Okay, let's start. Hey, hell is frozen over. CM Punk's on Raw with a live microphone, and he gives the people the jab because he's, he plugs the Blackhawks. He's in Nashville, the home of the Nashville hockey team. I can't remember what they're called, but the Dixies, yes. Scoring goals constantly. And so then he said, I've changed. How do I feel? It may sound corny and it may sound cheesy, but I've changed. And he plugged Dusty in there, said, as a kid, if you always just speak from the heart or speak the truth, you'll never go wrong. This is the truth. I'm home. And I'll tell you my interpretation of that, which I think is probably the same thing that he was trying to say when he came to AEW, but now he's learned a lesson. When he came to AEW, he said he felt like he was back in the wrestling business and he had left it when he went to the WWE. He'd left the wrestling business, and he felt that way, and most people do that liked the wrestling business. And he thought at the time he went into AEW, he's going to make a difference in their business. He's going to have a nice run second time, or a nice second run, last run, whatever the case.
He'll be given a chance to make a difference in their business.
Be given a chance to make a difference, and he obviously will make a difference because he saw the rest of the roster. And he did make a difference at the beginning. But he's, okay, I'll go out at easier schedule. There was problems with the other company in the past. I'll make a difference with this company. I'll contribute something. I see guys I want to work with, help elevate, whatever. He was gung-ho on that and make some money, right? And then he realized that place doesn't exist anymore if you want to be in the wrestling business, because instead of working for a corporate, publicly traded machine, he had to go to fucking kindergarten with a bunch of kids that were doing it for the fucking love of the star ratings and to be the bosses. It's that PWG on national television for these jackoffs. And they didn't like the competition of a real star that was trying to make serious money in a serious way. They didn't want to get shown up. They didn't like him anyway because they're naturally not the kind of people who are going to get along with Punk. Tony, as we've mentioned, all the things we've mentioned, and he realized, Jesus Christ, I got to get out of here. And so now he's a changed person because he's realized, unfortunately for the wrestling business, if you want to be serious about making money, you have to work for the goddamn corporate, publicly traded machine, because the other place is a goddamn shit show. And so now I think he believes you know what? I guess I am home. This is the only place that people are doing business and worried about making money instead of fucking friends.
Well, the other thing, too, is look at the two homes he had. The Indies and WWE. With WWE, what he got reintroduced right back into were big buildings, full houses, professional. Whether you like what they do or not, it's a professional setup. Professional catering. Everything's done professionally. He went from that kind of to what would become a bigger finance version of the Indies of 15, 20 years ago, where him and Danielson and Samoa Joe and all these guys were stars. It's that elevated, but it's also that drama and that lack of control because it's the indies elevated. So what's your home? Is your home going back to the rec center or is it going back to the arena?
When you reach a level in this business that you can draw serious money for the WWE if you're positioned the right way, then I think this is proven that's almost the only place you can go, because it either you will be on a substandard program that every outlaw jackleg that Tony takes a liking to is featured at your level, or that the ratings are declining because it's all the goddamn same. They just signed, Edge gets to, I guess WWE may have wanted to, a couple pay-per-views a year, whatever, limited schedule. Edge gets to finish his career with Christian, his friend, his best friend. Okay. But if you feel like you still have career left and you've got a few years run that you could draw them money, then that's the only thing. Cody saw that. And I'm not saying he's only got a few years, but I mean, look at what Cody's doing now and where he was stuck before, but setting himself on fucking fire. So
well, that's the thing. If you're someone who takes it seriously and you are in AEW, if we go based on the test of, the sample size of who's left, you're going to eventually run into a wall of frustration. Because the best case scenario is you get to do something really good in your segment and it's followed up by all sorts of shit. The worst case scenario is your segments start to suck too. And that's the AEW thing. Weird question. And again, we're all at one point or another smart fans, me and you, we all at different points, you got into the business. But do you think it's more rewarding maybe for a wrestler to perform in front of the WWE audience than it is in front of the AEW audience? Because it's a very different set of reactions from the audience. There's some similarities. Some of the chants are the same. But you're getting more kids. I know people say AEW has women there too. You may be getting more women with WWE. I don't know. But
people say it. We just can't find them.
It's a bigger house. It's an easier crowd. They get silent during shit too, of course. But do you think maybe it's more fulfilling, especially at a later stage in your career, to perform in front of that audience versus AEW?
Well, that's an essay question in the middle of, we're still talking about his promo, which we're going to come back to. But there's multiple different levels and kinds of satisfaction when you're in the wrestling business and okay, I've been in the Superdome with Watts early in my career, and my God, that was amazing. Even though I didn't have my glasses on and the fucking lights were down, so I never actually saw most of those fucking people, but you could hear them. But at the same point, I've actually felt more, oh shit, from the Charlotte Coliseum, half the amount of people, because every seat was filled. There was enough light. You could see the people, and it was the roof on the building. It wasn't as big. There were 25,000 people in the goddamn Superdome, but it seats 80 or whatever, right? So, and then there was times that you would be at a show in Pikeville, Kentucky, the Bluegrass Brawl, where a smaller building even with 2,000 people in it, but there wasn't room to draw a deep breath. That was an incredible, reaction from people because it's so compressed and so compact and so loud. And then there's another level when you get to, the stadium situation that WWE does with WrestleMania. Just the people jumping up and down for an Austin or a Rock or that type of thing, and the lights and the atmosphere, that's off the charts. But by the same point, because the wrestling fans as a whole don't react as, I think you can testify to this because you've been seeing them for 30 years. They're not each one as batshit into everything as they used to be 30 and 40 years ago, and people have seen the old videos. So even some of the modern WWE crowds in those stadiums, unless you're, figured in at a high level and really over, you're kind of walking out looking, oh, Jesus Christ, they don't give a shit about me, do they? I've been in that position. Some of those fucking, WWF shows in the 90s. So it depends on what you want to do to get your satisfaction from, do you want to make money because you might only can do this another 5 years, and you loved working and showing people what you could do when you were 25, but you need to consider your exit strategy. What is more exhilarating? Put yourself through a fucking table or getting booked in a goddamn pay-per-view main event because you can talk and people care who you are. You're not just doing shit that's fun for you to do. You've actually made yourself a personality that makes a difference in business. So I'm sure it's exhilarating and gratifying, or what word did you use that I'm trying to fumble around and remember?
Fulfilling.
Fulfilling. For a lot of these people to have the goddamn 4-star street fight, or for, Bryan Danielson to get his own G1 tournament brought to him by Tony Khan. More on that, maybe on the experience, because he didn't want to leave home for a month and leave his kids, so Tony's doing him a tournament. It may be more fulfilling to goddamn, really, hey, I made a difference in business, drew some fucking money, and did not goddamn fracture myself and hospitalize myself. I don't know what people are fulfilled by anymore.
Were you fulfilled by this promo?
Okay, back to the promo. So he spoke from the heart again. I was gone for 10 years and you people never forgot me. You never stopped chanting my name. And that's where he put the wise man line in. A wise man told me I'd have to get everything I wanted out of this place, I'd have to leave and come back. And he was right. And we've said that a million times, because people, when they leave, when they're frustrated or when they're not going anywhere or going where they want to go, then, it's time. Cactus Jack did that with WCW in the 90s. But anyway, so he thanked everybody for welcoming him back. AJ's great and sends her regards. Everybody welcomed me back here, almost everybody. And then some, he said, were afraid of the truth, afraid of the competition, afraid I set the bar too high. And this is where he was getting into it. The most dangerous and controversial man in wrestling is here, and they can't handle it. And the best in the world is back, and his name is CM Punk. Boom. This was forceful, but basically that was it. The best in the world is back, and his name is CM Punk. And then they hit his music, and he said to the camera, and I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money, which was a wonderful fucking nod to where he's been. And we'll talk in a second about whether the people that thought that he was going to talk about AEW with any specificity are out of their minds from the start. The WWE doesn't do that. And they're not going to, as I said on the last program, they've left cable access. They're on network now. This is the belt is not going to be displayed because it's a fucking toy belt from Walmart compared to the universe that they're in. So he's not going to tear down AEW or mention Tony Khan by name or talk about the children that he worked with except in vague, elusive terms, because the audience is a fraction of theirs, and they don't do that. Jarrett didn't talk about the Pafos. Fucking the established company doesn't talk about the Outlaws. So I don't know why everybody thought he was going to go off and tell all the backstage secrets of AEW, because most of the WWE audience either doesn't know or apparently doesn't care that there is an AEW. So that was crazy. But as I said, Cody had declared for the Royal Rumble earlier in the program. How different would even this 6-minute abbreviated promo that they fumbled by not giving him more time, how different would it have been viewed if he said, "Hey, Cody, you got some fucking company, pal. I'm in it too." Something, a point at the end. Help me.
Tease anything. He didn't tease anything. He didn't tease whether he's a babyface or a heel, what show he's going to be on. Didn't tease anything. Do you think WWE needed to start Raw with the promo? Do you think it needed to be the 9 o'clock hour? Where do you think it should have been?
Well, and also, he didn't need to. This is the one time I'm going to say this about heels and baby faces. He didn't need to tell us that right now, because he's probably going to be both, because there were signs a few different directions in the crowd. And that's what
Right.
the most dangerous man, the most controversial man, you want that again. Most people there are going to be happy to see him back because they don't know where he's been. They ain't watching. I mean, that's just the numbers, right?
I kind of wish you were talking for him the other night. No, he didn't have to say that. I agree with you. My point was he didn't say anything.
But yes, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying that's the one thing. We don't need to know that because it's going to be, left up again to the people, and it's going to be organic. But placement, as you mentioned, boy, I tell you what, I don't know whether they should have rearranged this to where, if they were going to, I would have put him on maybe at 10 o'clock and let him cut the promo of the length and the kind and fucking declare for the Royal Rumble or whatever. And, the people gave him a overwhelmingly positive reaction, even if there were, some of the signs and everything. But then if Cody had somehow been at the end of the show, I'm just, again, making this up out of my ass. Would they have remembered it better if Cody won his match or had saved someone or done something where he's standing there kind of huffing and puffing at the end? And the fucking music plays again, and we get Punk and Cody staring at each other. Or
end with the Randy Orton match.
Or maybe we get Punk and Orton staring at each other. Punk and anybody staring at each other. Just give me something.
Did he need to be on that show before 10:50?
Yes, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, even if they saved it for last, my God, give him 15 fucking minutes, let him milk the entrance. Those people would have chanted Punk for fucking, they didn't get a chance because he couldn't milk anything because that's all he had the time he had to say whatever he had to say in. So I'm saying what he said was good, need to be more of it. It was short and oddly placed, and there was no, like you said, tease or direction or give me something, declare something. What are you going to do here, baby?
That'd be an interesting wrinkle to this whole thing. If he keeps coming out and doing promos and he says nothing. But then, all the drama happens online. Did you hear a rumor about Punk? I mean, that's what happened at the pay-per-view. He came out and waved to the fans. Rollins had a meltdown. McIntyre is upset. All the drama, a lot of it the fans creating in their own heads, made the story bigger. Have him keep coming out there just being, I love all you. It's so great to be home. That's it. And then, you keep expecting him to address all the other drama. They didn't address anything. Rollins quickly shut that down. And that was it. Nothing else really referencing what happened.
And
that's a slow build if there ever was one.
Yeah, that's the thing. When he said some people aren't happy and blah, 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 almost everybody welcomed me back, but some are afraid of the truth. He could have winked and said, "Hey, Seth, how you doing, baby?" Or, just give me some more. He mentioned people's names in the promo, but I don't think it's anybody that he's going to be mad at. He mentioned Dusty and the Wise Man, and after 2 hours and 52 minutes of other people talking about what they're going to do and talking to each other about how much they don't like each other, but not actually really do anything about it. It's kind of, huh?
And that was a highlight of Raw.
And that was the highlight of Raw. Yes, that's what. But I mean, they're making billions of dollars with this boring shit because these other assholes can't even get their hands together around their fucking ass on the first try and get out of their own way. And so all they have to do is just come and send these people out to talk to us. Do you want to talk briefly about the rest of Raw, or where are we going here?
Yeah, I guess we could talk about the rest of this program. I will say that I heard that, and I don't have anything in front of me, but right now, I think CM Punk's the top merch mover in WWE, and he's still in the top 10 for AEW at the same moment.
Yes. And I think at one point, wasn't he number one on both sides?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if he was at the same time. I don't know.
Somebody said that on Twitter. Don't quote me then.
Well, he better duck from all those royalty checks that are going to be flying at his head. Jesus.
Well, he's going to be in fear of his life.
He got to get a paper cut.
Well, no. Hey, Tony's checks aren't rubber, at least, so they wouldn't bounce off your head. But